Okay, so first I will explain you the process of configuring the AWS CLI. Okay, and then I will show you with the execution. Okay, so first you have to download the AWS CLI utility from the AWS website. This is the link, okay, from where you can download the AWS CLI. So we have Linux-based OS, we have the Windows. So for both, you will have a separate installer. For Linux-based machine, you will have a zip file which you need to download in your local system in your Linux machine. And once this zip file has been downloaded, you just need to unzip this zip file, and then you need to run this install command. So this is a small process you have to follow for installation of AWS CLI in the Linux machine. If it is a Windows based, you just need to download this MSI file, okay, and then double click on this one, and then we follow the same process as we follow for installation of the other software on our Windows machine. So that's a very straightforward process for the installation of CLI. This is the process for Linux. This is the process for Windows. Okay, so once the installation has been completed, you need to run the AWS configure command. Okay, so AWS configure command will ask you for the few important parameters, and the important parameters are access key and secret key. So this is the same key that we have seen in the previous session, which we have collected from the AWS console. Okay, so you need to provide your access key, you need to provide your secret key. You can provide a default region to which default region you want to connect. Okay, and after that your CLI configuration will be completed. So in Linux based system and Windows, the only difference is that about the process of installation. For Linux based, you have a zip file, and this is the command that you need to run after the unzip. And in the Windows base, you have a MSI installer, which you can install with the help of double click. Rest of the process, the installation of the CLI with the help of AWS configure command is same. Okay, so once your configuration has been completed, okay, so by default it is going to store the information in some configuration file. Okay, so what are the configuration file will be created when you will run this AWS configure command? Okay, so the file that will be created, credentials and config, with the name of credentials and config. These two files will be created. And what is the location of these two files? So whatever the user that you have, if you're in a Windows machine, then you have some username. Okay, so you go inside your C drive users and particular username. Inside that you will see a folder with the name of .aws. Inside the .ws folder, you will see credentials and config, these two files. So if you're in a Linux machine, again same, you have to go to your home directory of the user /home, then whatever the username that you have used for the login, then .aws, and then here you will see same credentials and config folder. Okay, so in a nutshell, there would be a AWS folder, .aws folder, hidden folder will be created inside your username. Okay, in Windows and Linux both, and there you will see two files, credentials and config. Okay, so credentials will store your secret credentials like the secret key and access key, and in the config file you will see the entry like this one. Okay, so this entry also will get created when we run the AWS configure. So what are the entries here? The entries here about the default region. Okay, so which region by default, which region when you run the Terraform command, and if you do not specify any specific region, so which region it is going to be connected. Okay, and then output type, what could be the output type, and by default the output type is JSON. Okay, so go with the default. So this JSON will also getting prompt when you will run the AWS configure command. So apart from access key, secret and region, it will ask for the output as well, and there we select the JSON here. Okay, so this is the entry that you will see in the config file, and there is a role, some more role of this config file, and I will explain you what is the meaning of that. When I say that there is some more role of this config file, so this role come in picture in the third way of configuration of the CLI, right? So as of now, we are on the second way CLI configuration. The first we have seen with the help of environmental variables, and second we are seeing with the help of CLI. Okay, so the more way what I am talking about here for this row, this particular file, okay, that will come in the third way. Right, so this is a very straightforward process and very small process, okay, for the configuration of the CLI in the Windows and Linux based machine. So let me show you with the execution as well. So what I will do first, I will quickly show you on the Windows machine. So again, you have to go to the same link which I have shown to you. Okay, so here you can see we have a different operating systems are there. So for Windows, I will go to Windows, and here you will see this is the MSI. And then click on this one. So this will download the MSI in your local system. So this is a zip, this is a MSI file. Okay, you can open it. Just double click on it. Okay, and this will open the installer. and then you have to follow the next. Okay, so it will take some time for initializing the installer. It will look for some space requirement. Okay, so now it is ready. You can click on next. The same way, accept the agreement. Next. Okay, and this is the location where it is going to install the CLI. You want to change the location, you can change the location. Click on next, and then click on install. Okay, so then it will take some time for the installation. Wait for the completion. Okay, so now you can see the installation has been completed. It took around 3 to 4 minutes for installation. Click on finish. Okay, so this is the first part where what we have done. We have just downloaded this installer in our local machine and installed. The next step is to configure with the AWS configure. So go to the command prompt and run the command AWS configure. Okay, so first it is asking for the access ID key. Okay, so this is the key that we have downloaded from the AWS console in the previous session, right? So this is our access ID key, and this is our secret access key. Then it is asking for the default region. So by default, it is taking my default region, AP Northeast 1. So I can just press the enter, and then it is the output format. The output that it will be displayed, okay, on the command, what will be the output of that format. So I'm going with the same default JSON. So just click on enter. Okay, so now my AWS CLI has been configured in the Windows machine. Okay, now same process you have to follow in the Linux machine. The only difference is that you need to download the zip file first and unzip, and then need to run the AWS install and then AWS configure. Okay, so let me quickly show you this as well. So this is our AWS machine that we have created. Okay, and the previous exercise we have done with the help of environmental variables. Okay, so I will open a duplicate session and I will close the previous session. EC2-user and authentication with the help of key that we have created, right? So now here, because I want to configure the AWS CLI, so this is the link I will run to download. Okay, so now you can see this is the file that has been downloaded. So what I will do now, I will unzip. Okay, so this is a new virtual machine that I have created and it doesn't have the unzip utility. So what I will do, first I will install this unzip utility. So sudo yum install zip. Okay, so if you have you also created a new virtual machine, so you have to run this command, okay, for installation of the zip utility. So unzip will automatically come with this command. Give yes, right? So unzip is installed. So now I will unzip the zip file. Okay, so now you can see the file has been unzipped in the AWS folder, right? And now we need to run this command for the installation. So there would be an install script inside the AWS folder which has been created. Okay, and now this is going to install your AWS. Okay, so now you can see the installation has been done and we can run the command for the validation. So we can run the command AWS -version. Okay, so this is the AWS version that we can check, and same command you can run on the Windows as well. AWS -version, right? So now our installation has been done. So now what is the next step in the Linux machine? I need to run the AWS configure, right? So this is the same way we have configured in the Windows as well. So it is first prompting for the access key. So I will give my access key here. Second, I need to give my secret access key. So this is my secret access key. Sorry, I pressed the enter. So let me run it again. So first my access ID, then my secret key, then I need to give the region name. Okay, so there is no default region. So what I will do, I will give my region name. So I am in the Northeast region. So I will take it from here and I will specify here is the region. So default format is none here. So I can give the JSON format. Okay, so now my connectivity has been configured. I have not tested yet, but what we have done so far in the Windows machine, we have configured the AWS CLI utility. After installation, we have configured with the AWS configure to make the connectivity with our AWS account. So let me quickly show you the configuration file that has been created, and then I will tell you how to check the connectivity. So connectivity check is the same way what we have seen in the Windows as well. we will just create a main.tf file and we'll run the Terraform init and plan. It will show you if the connectivity is fine or not. Okay. So now I will go here and I will show you. So right now I am inside my EC2 user, right? So this is my Oracle user home directory. I logged in with the EC2 hyphen user. So this is my home directory inside the home folder. So here you will see a folder with the name of .aws, right? So go inside .aws. You can see here there are two files. So one is the credentials, okay, and second is your config. So credentials file contain your access key and secret key, and your config file contain the default region and the output format. Right, this is the same input that we have given during the AWS configure. Okay, so now our configuration has been done, and so now for testing purpose, we will just create a main.tf file. Okay, so we can do it on same. Either we can create here on the Windows machine, and then same way we can create here as well. Okay, so what I will do now, I will create a folder mkdir test. Then I will go inside the test folder. Here I will create main.tf. I will copy paste the content. Right. So now I will run the Terraform init. So this Terraform init will initialize the Terraform. It will download the plugin in my local folder inside the test. Right. Once the Terraform is initialized, then I will run a plan command. So plan command will actually try to connect to your account. Okay. If our CLI is configured properly, then it will able to connect to a Terraform. Now you can see it. It is able to connect to our AWS account, and we can able to see our account ID and account details here. So that means we have successfully connected to the AWS with the help of Terraform from this machine. We have successfully configured the AWS CLI. So this is a very simple and straightforward way for configuration of AWS CLI in the Windows and the Linux machine. Okay, and as I said, mostly we follow this approach, AWS CLI approach. We do not, we hardly follow the this environmental variable approach. Okay, so now we have the third way where we have AWS profiles. Okay, so now let us move for the third option.